The speaker war in the House of Representatives continues. Kevin McCarthy was supposed to kind of be a shoo-in. Everybody thought he was just going to waltz right on in there with the unified Republican Party at his back. But that turns out to not be the case. We are now on our fourth vote coming up, and there has been no uniformity amongst the Republicans about the next leader. So in this video, we're going to talk about exactly what happened. This is a historical event. We went through this, right? This type of problem doesn't come up from time to time. Remember what happened with Nancy Pelosi? Everybody lined up. They're like, we love you, Nancy. You are speaker for life. And you don't have to run into these issues. But the Republicans are not as competent as the Democrats, as we're finding out. And so they're having a little bit of a difficult time here. We're going to take a look at all of the votes that happened, reaction from Chip Roy, AOC, Crenshaw, and others. But first, let's start with Matt Gaetz, because as this day was upon us, we all knew the Republicans won barely by the hair of their chinny chin chins, and they just squeaked into Congress. And they have to now govern. They have to now lead. Who's going to be in charge? Kevin McCarthy's kind of, in the category of the mainstream Republican. Some people might call him the swamp. There's another Freedom Caucus. There's other individuals who say, we're kind of tired of the good old boys club in Washington, tired of the same old routine with you guys. Term after term, it's boring. So you got guys like Matt Gaetz, and he said that they are in fact being threatened by other Republicans, that if you don't vote for Kevin, you're in big trouble. This is Matt Gaetz. You see Lauren Boebert right by his side saying that they're standing firm. They're not supporting McCarthy. And in fact, they're being threatened by his allies.
Well, we were threatened by my committee chairman to be on the Armed Services Committee, Mr. Rogers, that if we did not vote for Mr. McCarthy, we would be removed from committees.
What?
Our position is that if Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House and we don't have an ability to ensure that there is oomph behind the agenda and energy behind our oversight, that the committee assignments don't mean that much anyway. I'm not here to participate in some puppet show where we pass a bunch of messaging bills, send them to the Senate, watch them die, fail to use leverage, and don't hold the Biden administration accountable. I don't want to relive the Benghazi experience where it's just theater pretending to be oversight, right? We can do better than that, and that's our purpose today.
Matt Gaetz says that he doesn't want to be a part of the puppet show and engage in theater, which is a nice idea. I like the notion, and I agree with him. Unfortunately, he operates in Congress, so not so much that you can do about that when that is basically the entire game. So he's there saying that they are threatening him, and we've heard this before. I think Tulsi Gabbard actually had a story that she shared. Was it on the Joe Rogan show or something like that? There's some conversation about, politicians. Basically, when you show up from your elected district, you're elected, 4th district in Arizona, whatever that is, and you vote, you go to Congress. Do you think you're there really representing the 4th district of Arizona? No, not really. You're there as just another peon in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. And they basically tell you that you go here and you go through orientation like a freshman in college or something. You go over here, you don't know anything, and you're just going to do what we tell you to do. Here's your syllabus. Can I take this class? No, shut your mouth. Get back over here. That's exactly what this was. It goes so far as to the Republicans now even threatening members of their own caucus. Here we have another story about the rules, because there's a big debate about the rules. Who is making the rules? Who can invoke the rules? How do they work? The Hill shares a story with us, and they're telling us that on New Year's Day, that McCarthy was offering concessions to detractors, people like Matt Gaetz. With House Rules package. Emily Brooks wrote this article, and you can see she's telling us that some key concessions were made to detractors, people who want to deviate McCarthy from the House speakership. This was released by Republicans on Sunday, and so it's a rules package. Remember, the House of Representatives passes their own rules. Remember, they passed H.R. 503, which formed the January 6th Select Committee, which was a must or a shall have a certain number of committee members, and they didn't. So the rules are just kind of loosey-goosey even, right? They can pass their own resolutions for how they're going to do things, but nobody really cares. And so they're really not enforceable at all. H.R. 503 said, 13 members on the committee, 5 of whom shall be Republicans, only 2 of whom were Republicans. So what do the rules matter at all? I guess it doesn't matter at all. Anyways, they say Republicans did put together some rules, but it's still far from clear whether the moves will help him lock up the votes Spoiler alert, didn't work. The compromise includes allowing a move to, quote, vacate the chair, right? So this is the stuff that Matt Gaetz wanted. A move to force a vote on ousting the speaker. Okay, Kevin, you get a little bit squirrely on us over there. You start acting like a Pelosi, and we're going to oust you. That's the compromise. So they can force a vote on throwing his butt out of there, with the approval of 5 Republican members rather than a threshold of at least half the House GOP conference, right? So the old rule was you needed more than half, a majority. Old rule, just 5 Republicans. All right. Now, Gaetz says we can't enforce that, right? It's really inconsequential. The Hill says the chamber is also set to create a House Judiciary Select Subcommittee, on the weaponization of the federal government. Okay. Guess that's the name. I'm glad they're forming select committees. They should form a ton of them, and they should all be loosely constituted, as far as I care, because the Democrats started this stupid game. Also, this is an apparent recognition of a request to increase scrutiny on the Biden administration and intelligence agencies. Yeah, so the weaponization of the federal government, I'd like a little bit more specificity on there, like, defund the FBI or something, or replace the FBI, or, unwind the DHS or whatever. We'll see. In a letter to GOP colleagues, McCarthy, speaking as the speaker designate, also addressed a request from conservatives to have more representation. McCarthy said, I will use my selections on key panels to ensure they more closely reflect the ideological makeup of our conference, and will advocate for the same when it comes to the membership of standing committees. This will facilitate greater scrutiny of my bills, so they stand a greater chance of passing. All right, so it's like an olive branch out to those crazy right-wingers. A bunch of members signed on to a letter saying that they're not in favor of McCarthy. Never Kevin opponents are people like Andy Biggs, Matt Gaetz, Bob Good, Matt Rosendale, Ralph Norman. So McCarthy needs a majority, and we're going to go through the votes here in a minute, a majority of all those voting for Speaker to secure the post. It's 222 to 212. He can only lose 4 GOP votes. But look, there's 5 right here. So who's going to flip? Is it Andy Biggs from Arizona? Is it Matt Gaetz? Is it Bob Good? Matt Rosendale, Montana? Or Norman from South Carolina? A vote in the rules package will only happen after the House elects a speaker. So the rules package include changes to rules about fiscal procedures. Here's a compromise, right? So they can say you can vacate the chair. They also are going to target Biden. So as part of this deal, there's going to be a select subcommittee that's formed in a church-style manner. They're going to have new fiscal measures and new inflation analysis in the rules. Dynamic scoring, pay-go, different rules. An end to the pandemic-era remote work rules. No more proxy voting. No more remote work rules as a result of COVID. House Sergeant-at-Arms sent a memo to the House staff last week. Get your butts back in the House. All right. So all of that is taking place. Now, we're going to come back to this because reaction is a lot about these rules, right? A big part of the reason why those 5 are saying that they're not going to be supporting McCarthy is because they don't like the rules. They don't like what the compromise looks like. And so we have this great battle now starting in Congress. It went on all day. We'll listen to a little bit of it, of the votes and the counting of the votes. But it started like this. And this is a battle between 2 people. We've got Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan. He's getting a bunch of the other votes. If all of the Jim Jordan votes went for Kevin McCarthy, this thing would have been over a long time ago. But Kevin McCarthy is not getting them. But what happened is Jim Jordan, the person who is getting some of the votes, nominated Kevin McCarthy in the first place. This is how it unfolded on the floor of the House of Representatives, with Jim Jordan, representative, recommending Kevin McCarthy, nominating him to be the next speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Ohio seek recognition?
I rise to nominate Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House.
Outstanding job, Jim. Outstanding. Bravo. Job well done.
The gentleman is recognized.
All right, so there you go. That's the big announcement. So Jim Jordan nominates Kevin McCarthy. They have a little speech. He says, yes, he's great. He's going to be the leader of our party. We can trust him to get things done. And then they go around, all 400 plus members, 435 members, and they ask them for their votes. And it's a painstaking process, my friends. If you watched any of it today, it's just like, AOC? AOC? She stands up and says, Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries is the other guy for the Democrats, the election denier who they are putting in charge of the House of Representatives. And so it just goes day after day, person after person, vote, vote, vote. Who is going to be the next speaker? The votes are counted. After the first vote, Kevin McCarthy, not looking so good.
The tellers agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 434.
Almost all of them.
Of which the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212.
Oh, Hakeem Jeffries. That's a lot. Hit that gavel. Hit it.
Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 203.
Oh, that's not going to do it. 203, that's less than the Democrats. The Democrats had 212.
The Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 19.
Whoa! Jim Jordan. 19 votes.
No person having received the majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a speaker has not been elected.
Oh, no. So that didn't go as planned. Oh, man, that sucks. Oh, Kevin McCarthy, that sucks. Oh, hey, Kevin, how was your day today? Not so good, honey. It didn't go great. Oh, really? What happened? I wasn't elected. Oh, really? But you got it the second time, right? Well, we'll get there. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. All right, so that is the first vote, no majority. And boy, oh boy, they were not happy about this. So we saw Kevin McCarthy came out and he said that certain members are being very selfish. They're denying him the speakership. This is ridiculous. Don't they know who he is? Don't they know how long he's worked for this? Don't they know how much he wants this job? Here is Kevin McCarthy. After one of the votes, he came out and he said there are just people who don't like him.
There's times we're going to have to argue with our own members if they're looking at for only positions for themselves, not for the country. For the last 2 months, we worked together as a whole conference to develop rules that empower all members.
What'd you do?
But we're not empowering certain members over others.
Okay, so he goes on with the big speech, and we'll just skip through most of that. But he's doing the same talk, right? We hear a lot of the thing. We're not, it's not about Matt Gaetz. It's not about Lauren Boebert. It's not about any of those other people. It's about coming together as a party so that we can do almost exactly what the Democrats are doing. And if we don't, if we don't come together, then the Democrats will be in charge and they'll do what the Democrats are doing. So you don't want them to do what the Democrats are doing. You'd rather us do what their Democrats are doing. All right, so you get the point. Now, we have Dan Crenshaw, lovingly also nicknamed, I think he likes the nickname, called Eye Patch McCain. I don't know if he likes it or not. But he is out there on the House floor, and boy, is he pissed about this. He's not happy at all. You see, this guy is, I believe, Manu Raju, roaming around the Capitol halls when he comes across Eye Patch McCain, and he says, hey, Dan, what's your take on this entire saga? And listen to Dan Crenshaw. He's not happy.
This handful of members is very clearly looking for notoriety over principle.
Notoriety over principle.
And anyone who suggests differently is in some kind of make-believe fantasy reality. It's not true. They lost those debates. That should have been the end of it, because that's how a team works, right? You hash this stuff out, you figure it out, and then you move on. But if you're a narcissist, if you're a narcissist, and you believe that your opinion is so much more important than everyone else's, then you'll keep going. And you'll threaten to tear down the team for the benefit of the Democrats. just because of your own sense of self-importance.
This is the exact same point that I've made about the mainstream Republican Party. Hello, eye patch. This is exactly what the Republicans have been doing. They would rather see the Republican Party lose than see their top player win. Republicans didn't help Blake Masters or Kerry Lake in Arizona. They don't care at all about many issues that many American voters care about. Instead, they'd rather pull their money out, support the mainstream Republican candidates, guys like Dan Crenshaw. And then when the candidates that they don't support lose, Democrats take over. This is the same playbook they've been doing for a long time. They've actually been running that game for quite some time. How many people came out and supported Donald Trump in 2020, right? The people who did, the Republicans that did, it was like dragging them across the finish line, right? And as soon as J6 happened and all of these other issues, they all changed teams. So Crenshaw is now using the strategy that they use to blame the outside Republicans. Let's rewind that a little bit.
And then you move on. But if you're a narcissist and you believe that your opinion is so much more important than everyone else's,
they're all narcissists in Congress, by
and
the
you'll
way.
threaten to tear down the team for the benefit of the Democrats, just because of your own sense
Governor
of self-importance.
Katie Hobbs.
That's exactly what's happening here. We will not vote for anyone else but McCarthy. These people think they're stubborn, we're more stubborn. They think they're not going to get the committees they want. Well, obviously they won't. But it's going to be so much worse than that.
Oh, it's going to be worse.
They are enemies now.
Whoa!
They have made it clear that they prefer a Democrat agenda than a Republican one.
They are enemies now. Did you see? So I guess he's joining with the extreme Joe Biden take on America. Republicans who don't vote with Democrats, Republicans that Joe Biden doesn't like, they're extremist MAGA, ultra, whatever his stupid phrase was. Same thing just came out of this fella's mouth. He said that if you don't support McCarthy, you're enemies now. There you go.
And you'll threaten to tear down the team for the benefit of the Democrats, just because of your own sense of self-importance. That's exactly what's happening here. We will not vote for anyone else but McCarthy. These people think they're stubborn, we're more stubborn. They think they're not going to get the committees they want. Obviously they won't, but it's going to be so much worse than that.
He's so mad.
They are enemies now.
Oh, he's so mad.
They have made it clear that they prefer a Democrat agenda than a Republican one.
Okay. Actually, people don't want your crap agenda, Dan, because it doesn't look anything different than a Democratic's agenda. So, all right. So you can see a lot of animosity there. He's almost shaking mad. It's kind of hysterical. Doesn't want anybody else to vote for anybody other than Kevin McCarthy, else you are an enemy. All right. So we've got, of course, that story from Mr. Crenshaw. We're going to take a look at the second vote right after we check in with our friends over at 4Patriots. Now, 4Patriots.com, of course, is a great place where you can get your survival food and stock up on supplies to make sure you don't starve to death or freeze to death. You've got energy anytime you need it. Go to 4Patriots.com. My friends, a food shortage could be coming. Even in the United States, experts have written about this as recently as July. Drought, inflation, even new policies are pushing America's food supply near its breaking point. That's why survival food is more important now than ever. And you can create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4Patriot survival food kits ever. This is not ordinary food. We're talking about good for 25 years super survival food, hand-packed right in family-owned facilities in the United States, giving jobs to over 200 Americans. The kits are compact, they're sturdy, they're water-resistant, and they stack easily. They have different delicious breakfast, lunches, and dinners, and you can make these meals in less than 20 minutes. Just add boiling water, simmer, and serve. And right now, you can go to 4Patriots.com. Use code Robert to get 10% off your first purchase on anything in the store, including this 3-month survival kit. You'll get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus free shipping on orders over $97. They're called 4Patriots because a portion of every sale is donated to charities who support our veterans and their families. Go to 4Patriots.com. Use code Robert to get 10% off. That's 4Patriots.com. Yeah. Use code Robert. Start building your own stockpile today. That's right. Go to 4patriots.com. Get your survival food. Get those calories stocked and stored away. Inflation is going to keep going up, so order now at 4patriots.com. All right, and so let's continue on, my friends. Going back over to the second vote, we have now some reaction. Dan Crenshaw is very upset, very angry that they're not voting for his guy. He says, you're all going to be dead soon, and I'm going to take you out. But here we have another vote that came out, and it doesn't look so good, right? A lot of animosity. People are thinking that with a little bit of time, put some distance in between the votes, people will go around. This is what the bureaucrats do. Okay, here is 2 minutes now, so we'll scroll that down. So the theory, the strategy that takes place in Congress is they're all talking. They're all convincing each other to go and change their votes, right? Oh, no, seriously, Kevin McCarthy is awesome. He's really, really, going to save this country. Just change. Your constituents will love us. And then when they're all done, they take their seats and they make their announcements. So she's banging the gavel. Everybody pipe down.
House be in order.
Get your butts back in the seat. We got to vote.
Will the House be in order?
Sit down. Jerks. Gosh.
The tellers agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 434.
Okay.
Of which the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212.
212, the same as last time. She almost banged it.
Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 203.
What? Isn't that less? Is that less this time? I think he got less than the first time. Ah, great.
The Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 19.
19? Oh my gosh. All right, so obviously they're not making progress. We were looking for a little bit bigger of a gap closure on that one. Still didn't win. I don't know if he got more votes or less, but it's like right there at the margin, right? It's very close. And we're wanting to see on that second vote a little bit closer. You definitely don't want it to go to a third vote, and you definitely don't want it to go to a fourth vote. But let's see what's happening, because this guy, Manu Raju, over from CNN, he was all over the place, and he was talking with Anderson Cooper. And he had some details to share. He's like, look, I've been, schlepping all over the place here in Congress. And I have some interesting news. It's looking like Jordan might actually continue to gain votes.
I just talked to Bob Good, who's the Virginia Republican. He is one of those members as part of that hardline block of conservatives who are dead set against denying Kevin McCarthy the votes. He told me they plan on the third ballot to vote for Jim Jordan again. Even though Jim Jordan, we heard say, vote for Kevin McCarthy. Don't vote for me, vote for Kevin McCarthy. Instead, they're essentially ignoring it. In fact, that's what Bob Good said to me. He said that is exactly why they want Jim Jordan. He called him the most popular Republican that's out there. He said that McCarthy is in a, quote, desperate effort to cling to power. He said that they are planning to continue to vote for Jordan. And he also told me, I think we're going to see his numbers grow. So beyond the 19 so Republicans who voted for Jim Jordan here, how many will vote for Jim Jordan on the third ballot? That's going to be the big test. Do any peel off to vote for McCarthy? Do any Republicans decide to vote for Jim Jordan on the third ballot? That's going to be their push going forward. So once again, we're in this staring contest. Republicans banking on somehow Jim Jordan getting his way to the speakership, but Republicans saying that, who are allied with Kevin McCarthy, saying they are not backing away from him so long as McCarthy stays in the race. And McCarthy, for now, staying in the race.
Wow, so interesting little summation there, because it is seeming like there's very, very hard lines. Like absolutely nobody is going to be swapping their votes around. And that's going to be interesting when they come back tomorrow to conclude the votes. After the second vote finished and there was still no majority, a lot of different congresspeople were speaking out. This is Chip Roy, for example. He came and he said that the rules package that the committee, the House sort of promised, the one that came out, they said that was going to be useful for all of us. There's no way to enforce that. and they need to make sure that they maintain a check on the swamp.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And first of all, I wouldn't say I've been leading the charge against McCarthy. I've been leading the charge for my constituents who are tired of the swamp continuing to do what the swamp does. And we saw it on full display with the $1.7 trillion omnibus bill. Now, my friend Jim Jordan, who just nominated Kevin McCarthy, who I also consider a friend, said that, hey, we need to put the people in place to stop bills like that. But that's the problem. Everybody's out there saying, oh, we got everything we wanted. We got rules changes. Let me tell you something. We have no way to enforce those rules changes. The Speaker-elect has a history of voting with Democrats and voting with the minority against the majority Republicans over the last decade. He's been Speaker or in the leadership of Republicans since 2009. During that time, the debt has gone from 11 trillion to 32 trillion. In other words, we want to be able to have a check against the swamp. We made good faith changes. We worked hard to get them, but we needed a little bit more in order to assure that we have the power to actually stop the swamp from rolling over the American people who are sick of bills that spend money we don't have, are sick of open borders, are sick of empowering the bureaucrats to go after them, and we're sick and tired of a Congress that's not doing its job. So this is about changing this town. I wasn't sent here for second place. I was sent here to get the job done, and we need the leadership and the tools to do it.
So very, very strong statement from Mr. Chip Roy, and they're still battling this out. Let's see what else he says.
Been here only for now his second term. I might vote for some similar folks who have a track record and a history of standing up to the swamp. What I'm not going to do is blindly do what the swamp does. My constituents didn't send me here to do that. Is anybody listening to this actually happy with what Congress is doing? Is anybody out there?
No.
Are you?
No.
Or anybody in America? Do you
No.
think Congress is doing a good job?
No.
The answer is no.
No.
So why would we embrace the status quo? Why would we keep doing the same thing over and over again? That's what's happening in that room. And this morning, a group of folks threatened some of us, and they lost votes on that. We're not going to back down until we get in a room and we decide how we're going to be able to stand up and fight for the American people, no matter who the speaker is.
All right, so they are continuing to battle. Obviously, that's Chip Roy saying, stop the swamp. And there's some interesting things happening on that second round vote. Evidently, there was one vote that swapped. So we had this one from Representative Byron Donalds from Florida. He apparently swapped his vote. It says here from the recount, it says that Rep. Byron Donalds from Florida is the first Republican to flip his House Speaker vote from McCarthy to Representative Jim Jordan, right? That's that vote change that we think we saw there. So Jordan was actually getting a bigger vote, right? A bigger number of votes during that second round. Donald's vote caused quite a stir on both sides of the aisle. Let's listen.
Donalds. Jordan.
Wow.
Duarte. McCarthy. Duncan. McCarthy. Dunn of Florida.
All right, so that's a scene from how they vote, right? You can see they're just literally counting each other off one by one and making sure they're all there, enduring through the pain. And there was another person who stood up and announced her vote. Look who this is. Nancy Pelosi casts her vote for Hakeem Jeffries to succeed her as the Speaker of the House. Now, Hakeem Jeffries, as we know, is an election denier. He was somebody who said that Donald Trump was illegitimate, Russian hacked, blah, blah, blah. But he's now in charge of the Democrats, even though that was one of their biggest issues during this last midterm. Everybody who questions elections is an insurrectionist and a bigot. And now they have elected somebody who questioned a bunch of elections. All right. So here is her vote. They're saying that this underscores Democratic unity. Republicans are in total chaos, total mess all over the place. But this is Nancy Pelosi standing proud and making her vote heard, voice heard, her vote heard to all of America.
Pelosi.
Wow, nice job. Wow, great job there, Nancy. Wow, beautiful. Really beautiful. I think I went to a dance recital one time for like a younger cousin, she was like 4 or 5 years old, and she kind of stood up like that, did the same thing, she was like, very proud. They're like, hey, great job, and she stood up and like was, kind of did like a little curtsy and like, oh, wow, I did a great job. This is fun. Nancy Pelosi did the same thing.
Pelosi.
Nice job, Nancy. You win. All right. Good job. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. Love it. We have the stupidest people in our government. All right. So that was Nancy Pelosi, and there's just a continual debate about what is going to happen. Now, we know that the third vote occurred. The third vote turned out to be a no vote. So Kevin McCarthy lost again. I don't have a clip of the third vote. But before the third vote took place, there was a little perusing around the House building. We have Gosar and Gates plus AOC, KISSING, sitting in a tree. Here are these two little lovebirds palling around in Congress. Look at these two. Hey, guys, there's supposed to be an armrest between you two, all right? Separate yourselves. Oh, and she's getting over with Gates too? AOC's just making the rounds all around Congress. And Matt Gaetz and Paul Gosar, they are cavorting with the enemy. Matt Gaetz turns around. Look at his face. Oh, gosh. AOC. What are they talking about? Is somebody going to flip? Are they going to change teams? Is AOC going to come over and join the Republicans? Or is Matt Gaetz going to go over there and join the AOC, the big booty Latina? I don't know. But they did seem to be a little bit comfortable over here. Look at AOC. She's giving him the... What is this? Is this a move? What is this move? No, it's this one. What is this move? What's going on over here? Is this flirting? The little smile. Paul Gosar is like in love. All right, that's what's going on in Congress. Now, it's interesting to see these two. These are two sides of the political spectrum. What are they hanging out with each other for? Who knows? But of course, we'll be back tomorrow with a fourth vote, which is history in the making, right? I don't know when the last time 4 votes have been required in order to elect the next speaker. And it may go beyond that, evidently, because they filed a motion to adjourn. They submitted a motion to adjourn. And this is what it looked like. They're coming back tomorrow to commence the 4th vote for the speaker.
A speaker has not been elected. For what purpose does the gentleman from Oklahoma rise?
I move to adjourn until noon tomorrow.
The question is on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House stands adjourned until noon tomorrow.
Nice gavel job there. So the House is done. They got nothing done today, literally. They just sat around all day and counted votes, one after another. And they all stood up and made their announcements. And AOC and Paul Gosar, they might be going on a date tonight. Who knows? But that, my friends, is some more wasted time from our gigantic bureaucracy as they play patty cake with each other day after day after day. And they continue the big theater, the puppet show, while the rest of us have to endure under their useless reign and rule. We, of course, will continue to cover it. We'll see what they have in store for us tomorrow when the vote finishes, hopefully. We'll know who our next speaker is or what the Republicans do to screw this up. Watch us finish tomorrow with Speaker Nancy Pelosi again. Oh, gosh. All right. Don't jinx it, Rob. Don't. All right. That, my friends, is it for this segment. We'll be back here tomorrow. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for liking this video wherever it is you're watching it. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.